Welcome to the Praying and Slaying Podcast, a Light the Fire Outdoors production, where meatheads Aaron and John take you through a day in the life of the praying and slaying lifestyle. Without further ado, here's the next episode of the Praying and Slaying Podcast.
Back again, bud, for another exciting adventure of turkey takers.
What are you doing?
Oh, just hanging out, living the dream. It's actually sunny and warm in Duluth, so you gotta enjoy that when it happens.
So you out on the back porch, kick back with a Miller Lite in your hand, or what?
No, because there's a guy mowing his lawn a couple houses down, so I thought I'd stay in the house.
Yeah, better audio quality. I get it.
Yeah.
The things you got to do for this podcast.
Right. So I figured I'd tell how my hunt went this year.
I would love to hear it. Episode 2 of the Turkey Taker series, huh?
Yeah. So a little bit different for me. I decided that I wanted to use a crossbow this year. I've always just used a shotgun, so it's a little bit.
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I have to know, do you still have your mustache?
I still got the mustache. It's coming back. I told you about that horrific experience that it had.
Yeah. Why don't you tell people about that? Actually, I forgot about it because I've never been so angry for someone else in my life, I don't think, as when I heard this. In a very loving way.
Yeah. it ends up all in well, but okay. It's just such a crazy story as a direct result of the crazy times we're living in, So
yeah,
right as everything got shut down in Minnesota, like literally the day before, I'm like, man, I gotta make a haircut appointment. I like my hair done nicely, so I actually go to a salon.
Wow.
I love the gal that does my hair. Anyway,
I go to Great Clips, and that is my salon.
Well, part of it's because my mom was a hairstylist, so when someone
okay, so it's in your blood.
Yeah, so when someone butchers my hair, even though I wear a hat 300 days of the year, it still pisses me off.
Oh, for sure.
So at any rate, my hair was getting pretty freaking bushy. I look like Albert Einstein that put a hat on. With so it's just winging
sure.
sides. Lo and behold, my wife had a friend over. I got home from work. They're sitting on the back deck, and they're waiting for me to get home and do some grilling. And her friend sees me, and she's like, "Wow, that's quite the hair you got there." I was like, "Yeah, I know. I mean, it's crazy. I was trying to get a haircut like right as everything got shut down." And she's like, "Well, I can cut your hair. I mean, I just cut my dad's and trimmed up my brother's hair." And I'm like, well, whatever. What's the worst thing that can happen? And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I kind of wanted to do a mohawk anyway. So if she cuts my hair, I'm just going to go with a mohawk and everything's fine. That's the worst case scenario is I wind up with a mohawk, which I kind of wanted to do just because that's the kind of guy I am. And it's a great opportunity to do it, And
right.
So, I get the grill going. I make some food. We have a couple of drinks, and I don't notice that maybe my wife had one or two more than her friend, but neither one of them were like sloshed or stumbling around or babbling or anything crazy. So no big deal. So I go in and find some just terrible scissors. She's just going to trim up the sides and the back. So we have Einstein hair winging up the side. And she starts clipping away, and she gets about done with the left side. The left side's feeling pretty good, and there's piles of hair laying there. And if you've ever almost hit a deer or hit a deer, it's the craziest thing. Like you're going 55 and you see that deer coming from your left and running up the ditch, and that you're probably going to hit that deer, but there's just nothing you can do because it's in slow motion and it happens in 1 or 2 seconds,
Yeah.
And the same exact thing happened to me sitting there with this dear friend of ours. She's got her scissors in her hand. She's trimming the left side of my hair, and I have this just giant handlebar muffler. I mean, the hooks on it are like 5-6 inches long, But I was at work that day, and I didn't have it all styled to perfection. And this thing was getting pretty wild to the point where, like, pretty soon I'm going to have to bite the bullet and do something with it, trim it up a little bit, kind of the tips of it, just all over the place, whatever. So I'd kind of been thinking about trimming that anyway, and But all of a sudden, just like that deer running through the ditch that you're about to hit, I see the scissor swoop in out of the corner of my eye and clip. She clipped off 1.5 inches, 2 inches of
man.
And I was like, oh my word, I was
Dude.
I was so enraged, just like enraged. If I had the right side of my head had been cut too, I would have just gotten up and stormed out of there. But now I got the side of my head trimmed, 1.5 inches, 2 inches of my left side of my mustache clipped off. I actually caught that in my hand as my mustache was falling down. I caught it in my hand and I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, what are you thinking, But I gotta play it cool, just, because I gotta get the right side of my head butchered up too, So she gets the right side of my head clipped off, and she kind of realizes, as things got quiet, that what a bad situation it was. And in fact, like, my wife started chuckling a little bit, and then the girl cut my hair started chuckling a little bit, and I was like, you guys don't be laughing, like, seriously, it'd be like, I said to my wife, she had her hair up in a ponytail, it'd be like if I walked over and cut your ponytail off, or if I said to the girl cutting my hair, because she has short hair, I said, if I took my clippers and ran it right down the middle of your hair, that's how
yeah.
The last thing you want to be doing is snickering and laughing about it. It was just, you could have heard a pin drop for 100 miles after I said that. He got my haircut, and I went upstairs in the bathroom, and I was like, man.
You cried a little bit, put the lid down on the toilet, and sat there and sobbed in your hands. Started
clipping away on the right side, and got her even.
Man.
But it was crazy. I mean, I could never imagine what would lead to something like that. But I did get buffaloed. Like, seriously, the girl was hammered. I figured out after she was hammered. So,
man, that is rough.
So the mustache is alive. It's growing back. It's doing fine. You know how it is.
Oh yeah.
Had to make some lemonade out of lemons.
That's it. Yep. Oh man, I don't even know. Like I said, when I first heard that story, I was just I was so mad for you.
Yeah, you were pissed. I thought you were.
I don't know these. Just not that. I mean, I've said hi to your wife a couple of times on the phone, but I mean, try not to judge anybody. But I was judging hardcore that day. I'm like, man,
what kind of?
If I ever lady.
Yeah.
I carry scissors around just in case I run into her.
Right.
Clip that ponytail, bud.
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
but
that's insane.
It is. I don't know. It was crazy. It was.
No, it's funny,
but it's in
now.
Pretty good shape now. We got it going back.
Good. And if you've ever had a mustache, like John and I have, you do get to a point where it is just so long and obnoxious that it's so hard to like make it actually look decent or do what you want it to do without it falling down throughout the day or whatever. So you gotta have a good trim every once in a while.
Right.
I haven't I don't know if I feel guilty yet or not, but I haven't grown. I haven't lost like the stubble length. I've got I just have my hair pretty much like stubble length and trimmed up on my face now. I haven't had a mustache since trade show season, like not the full grown one, and that's a product of almost the exact same thing except my own doing.
Right.
I threw the wrong wax in when we went to Sacramento, California, and I was thinking I'll keep my mustache for Sacramento because it's California. Why not? Everybody's going to have some kind of standout feature. I was in my head. I was just painting the first time I've been there, and so anyway, I had it there, and I threw the wrong wax in my bag when I was packing, and it was like my softer wax. And again, with mustaches, like the longer that hair is, the more you got to do to keep it the way you want it. And I have this other wax that dang near pulls the mustache off your face trying to work it in. And that's what I have to use to make it, stay the way you want it. I didn't have that one. And anyway, I was already getting some grief from the guys at Tacticam about maybe thinking about shaving the stash anyway. And I did the same thing. I put as much of this softer wax in it as I possibly could without turning my mustache white.
Yeah.
And it just was not working. Nothing worked. It looked like crap. And Rudy's like, dude, no, don't cut the stash. I'm like, dude, I have to. I'm not going to go to a trade show looking like this. Like, this looks way worse than if I would have just left it the way it was this morning when I woke up. And anyway, so I did the same thing. I took and I didn't have scissors. If I would have had scissors, it all would have been fine. But I had my clippers, and I took my clippers and I pinched one side of the mustache to just get rid of the long scraggly hairs. Like I was going to trim it down to where the bulk of it was. And anyway, I buzzed that one, and it looked great, like just perfect. Like I couldn't have done it any better. I was like, oh man, that was actually really easy. Now I went to go do the other side, pinched it the exact same way, buzzed it what I felt like was exactly the same way. I let go, and I just straight bush cut it. Like it was swooping. It was just a straight wall of thick hair. And the other side like looked good, but then I couldn't. It was at the length though. I couldn't trim the other side to make it match, and have it at all good. So I had to give up on it. And
it's just it's frustrating and kind of heartbreaking when you can't get the sides to match up, you know. And I don't know what people know about growing mustaches, you know, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy, man. And when put it this way, when your mustache is even and you're having a good mustache day, just like a good hair day, you're on the top of the world, man. You're floating on the clouds. You're pointing at people. You're high-fiving and living the dream. But if your mustache, you know your mustache isn't looking good, you're just kind of like, oh, I hope nobody looks too close, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, cool. No, I had to ask because I haven't seen you in a while, and I was just like, I wonder if he still got the mustache.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then naturally, you got to tell some mustache stories. But anyway, back to your turkey hunt now. I want to hear about it. This is a Minnesota turkey
crazy
hunt.
times we were living in. It was the second week of April, so you know it took a little bit longer for this thing to get into the Midwest. So we had some time to prepare, whatever for it. But there's so many things that you heard and didn't, you know, that they changed the next day. You're not quite sure what's going on. So I got to travel like an hour and 15 minutes to where I turkey hunt. And I wasn't out scouting or anything because the county that I lived in had more cases than the county where I'd be going to turkey hunt. So just being early in that game, I just wanted to play it safe. I felt like it was the right thing to do. I didn't get any scouting in, but I had permission on a couple farms and places I had always hunted, and I knew where there's a bunch of public land, and I was using a crossbow, so I have 6 weeks to do it. And so there was, you know, I knew I'm going to be able to kill one turkey in 6 weeks, no matter what, you know.
Yeah. And what made you choose the crossbow? Out of curiosity.
I think a little bit more of a challenge, and then the flexibility to hunt when I want any day in 6 weeks, as opposed to the shotgun season. You've got Wednesday to Tuesday to get it done, or you have to wait till the very last season, the 6th season, and then that. If you hadn't filled that tag in your previous 5 seasons, you can hunt again on the 6th season. So the crossbow gave me the ultimate flexibility of being able to hunt anytime that I want in the 6-week window.
Well, yeah. And if you remember the last episode, I mean, I try to bring all the firepower I can with me because I probably need it.
Right. So I just wanted a little bit different challenge. I really like the idea of the flexibility of it. You'll hear as we talk more and more, like I am really, really anal about taking the best shot I can, being patient, putting the animal down as quickly as I can, you know, taking the best shot that I can. And I was stressing a little bit about it. Like I shot my crossbow quite a bit and stuff, but I realized, you know, I never shot a turkey with an arrow. So I was doing a bunch of different reading and stuff on where you got to shoot them, and basically like full strut straight on, full strut straight away, you know, just straight through the thighs, or like some magical area where you actually hit a turkey through a can-sized vital area, you know. So I wouldn't say I was stressing about it. I just knew that it was going to take a little time to get that perfect shot.
A little more precision.
But at any rate, I got over to the hunting land and I pulled my camper out and got everything fired up, and got out hunting the first morning. And I knew that, you know, I hadn't done any scouting. I had no idea if there was one turkey there or 1,000, you know, no clue. And so I put myself in between 2 areas that I knew were roosting areas, maybe, you know, a half a mile apart. And I was in the middle, and I debated sitting in this one spot. I chose spot B, spot where I should have sat. It sounded like a Royal Rumble opening morning. The turkeys gobbling and just wild stuff going on. I just had to laugh, you know, because it's like, man, you know, I should have been over there, but I chose to sit here because it's like if they're traveling from point A to point B, it's like this this point that runs out into the field, and they travel through there. So it's a good spot to be. But the other spot is like a kind of like a natural hidden food plot. And so it's like a community area that they like to be at. But I chose that spot. There was goblin to the north of me. There was just a bunch of stuff going on on that food plot area, and all that goblin and stuff. I looked over, and I was like, "There's a turkey. There's another turkey. There's another turkey. There's another turkey." So 10 hens go by me, and they go meet up with all the goblin. And at first, when I saw all those turkeys, like, man, that's cool. Okay, there's a lot of turkeys. And then it dawned on me, like, now those 2 or 3 toms I heard are gonna end up with 10 hens. So I kind of monkeyed around with them a little bit, and just kind of got out of there. I knew it was a private farm; nobody else could hunt it, so I just let them do their thing that day. And I hit the dirt roads looking for more turkeys and whatever. I just decided to leave the area. So the next morning comes, and I'm on my farm B, and I hear one tom in the morning. I'd set up a pop-up, and I heard one tom, like, just any noise at all would make him gobble. I mean, a car would hit like the rumble strips, he'd gobble. Like a crow would caw, he'd gobble. A flock of geese, gobble. A train like 5 miles away on the tracks, gobble. I mean, he gobbled like 400 times, and kind of interestingly enough, like he would gobble back at me, but there was some magical distance that he kept from me. So he would gobble, say, like 100 yards away, but I couldn't see him because he's in the brush. And then it was almost like he'd sprint like 200 yards away and gobble again, So what it told me was, he's like, okay, I'm not going to break this crest. If you want me, here I am. This is where, he's trying to lure me in. And it kind of dawned on me that he was with a hen or two, and he just wanted more. And he's put a little bit of effort into me, and like saying, come on over here, join the club. And he just wouldn't come in. And interestingly enough, on the drive over there, I was listening to a podcast, and it had this
the Praying and Slaying podcast.
I think it was a meat eater one, and they had
they've got some good.
And they had a guy on there from Missouri, a biologist that studied turkeys for like 30 or 35 years, just a fascinating guy. But what I took, the turkey doctor. What I took away from it was, he was saying that he radio collars turkeys, and then he would GPS like hunters, and he'd kind of match them up, like, okay, I think this guy's the best hunter, and I'm going to put him up against the best turkey, the best tom, and that hunter would go in, he'd tell the guy the last beacon or whatever where that tom roosted, he'd send him in after him, and that guy, I think, pretty much never killed the best hunter never killed the best turkey. But interestingly enough, the point that stuck out was, like, within 4 hours of where the guy originally called from, that tom would show up there, like a crazy amount of time, like a crazy amount. That tom would be right where the hunter called for the first time in the day. And
like a crazy amount of time, like that had elapsed, or a crazy amount of like percentage of the time that bird would end up there?
The crazy percentage that the bird would be back there within 4 hours. The percent that bird would come and check it out later in the day, like within 4 hours, was very, very high. And so I decided, like I did on the first day, I stayed in that spot for at least 4 hours, just to see. So I knew this just one tom was over there just roaring to beat hell. And I'm like, well, whatever. I'm going to throw out a call once in a while and make sure he remembers I'm still here. And I'm going to wait, let the 4 hours elapse. And so I'm hearing this gobble, and it's just crazy. I'm seeing other turkeys, hens running around. So I know there's turkeys around. I just waited out. And about 15 minutes after the 4 hour bell was about to ring, he gobbled. And that time I knew, like, he's like, yep, here I am. I'm coming for you, And he was actually out strutting on a dirt road, and I couldn't see him, but I could tell, like, he'd gobble, and then he'd run like 15 yards and gobble out on the road, then run 15 yards back and gobble again. And then he'd gobble, and he wouldn't break that. He wouldn't come through the ditch into this food plot that I was in. So I had the turkey reaper laying outside, and I now I got a crossbow, the turkey reaper. I got to get the cameras turned on. I'm in grass that's probably some grass is like knee high. Some of it's just starting to come up. It's all dead, but still, the standing brown, dead grass that I'm trying to crawl through. And so I pop up, I get out of the reaper. I crawl out of crawl out of the blind. I get to the reaper, which was just laying outside of it. I move like 15 yards from where I called, just off to the side.
Haven't you learned not to leave the reaper hanging out
no,
outside
it's just
the blind?
right outside the door, laying down.
Oh, okay. So, side note, the first one of the first hunts John and I, the hunt John and I met each other on, turkey hunting. We were in the ground blind with the owner of Tacticam, and do we have it attached to a gun?
That was
or a bow. Okay, so that was on a gun. So anyway, the Reaper decoy that Tacticam makes attaches to a gun or a bow. Well, it was on a shotgun, and so Jeff had his shotgun laying outside the blind behind us, just to have less stuff inside. And we had set up on some birds that we had gobbling, just pretty much ran down there, put the blind up, got inside, put some decoys out, and we're just waiting for these birds to come in. Well, we see these birds coming, and the lead Tom decides to go behind the blind for some reason, not to the decoys. And we could not figure this out. We're like, what the heck? And I don't know if the video's out there. I'm sure it is somewhere. But anyway, you hear Jeff go, gosh, dang it, he's going to the Reaper. The Reaper was attached to the gun and sitting upright. It was funny. We had a bird 2 feet behind the blind pecking the head of the Reaper decoy that we couldn't do anything about. It was
that was
funny.
A crazy hunt for sure. But yeah,
that was awesome. All right. So he learned his lesson. He laid the decoy flat this time. No birds were going to come to that.
I laid it flat. So it's crazy. So I crawled out, grabbed the Reaper. I moved like maybe 15 yards off to the side to give him a little different call location. And when I did that, he immediately came charging in, and he pops in and I waved the Reaper a little bit. There was a kind of a knob of a hill, and I was on one side of it, he was on the other, but we could still see each other. But I just waved the Reaper a little bit. I didn't have it stuck in the ground. I had it in my hand, and I waved the Reaper at him, and he went into full strut. And I was like, this is going to happen quick, he's going to come running right over. And
quick for people who've never reaped before. When you say wave the Reaper, so essentially what this is, it's a real. You can have a synthetic or a real turkey fan, so that you get the flat turkey fan like you'd mount on your wall, and then like a synthetic painted head, and that's it. I mean, it's really super simple. So it's almost like if you can imagine a fan on a stick that like ladies back in the day might fan themselves with. This is kind of what this looks like. But what do you mean waving? Like,
so the other key part of that Reaper decoy, like, it's got a 3D realistic like head and kind of a neck on it, and it just, the fan goes behind it and it's on a stick. So I was just, I'm sure everyone's seen where like when a Tom gets aggravated or whatever, he'll kind of like twist his tail to the left and twist it to the right, or tip it forward at him, kind of like calling him out, like, hey, let's do this. So
right.
I knew once he saw it, I just tipped it slightly to the left and tipped it slightly to the right, and I thought it would bring him.
Okay.
He was like 50 yards away, and I thought it would bring him right in, And he just would not commit to that decoy. And at one point, he was only like 15 yards from me, but he was like, he keeps something in between us, like there's this big pine tree in the way, and that tall grass and stuff. I just couldn't get a shot with that crossbow. I mean, a shotgun, you could have blasted him 50 times over again, but he wouldn't commit to coming right into it. And then he got around the other side of the tree, and he was starting to work away from me a little bit, and he was starting to drop down that knob, and I felt like he was going to get away. And I could just tell, when you hunted enough or watch turkeys enough, you just kind of know when they're starting to get boogered up or whatever, and they're going to leave. And I made a cluck or something, and he lifted his head up, and that's all I could see is like the top of his back, the base of his neck, and his whole head. And I figured he was like right about 30 yards away at that point, and I knew it was like now or never. So I got I had the camera rolling. I fired off a shot, and I felt good about the shot. It was, a decent area at the base of his neck, and that I felt like I could kill him, because if I don't feel like I'm going to kill the animal, I'm not going to take the shot. If I don't feel like it's a high percentage chance. So I let the arrow fly. Like the thing flips like 4 feet in the air. He goes rolling down the side of the hill, and I can't see him anymore. And for whatever reason, just because of my hunter instinct, or I don't know what it was, my instinct was to get that crossbow reloaded. I have no idea why. So I get the crossbow reloaded, and I look up, and I can see him like 50 or 75 yards away, like his red head like bouncing through the brush, you know. And I was, what the heck? I was just like, man, I hit him, and I just like, I had to have gotten him, you know. He rolled down the side of the hill, but I must have just clipped him, and it just spooked him, and he jumped and flipped in the air and just kind of, I guess I don't know if he rolled down the hill. He just disappeared on the other side of the hill. I looked all over for him, you know, spent a bunch of time looking for him. There was just a few feathers laying there and absolutely like no blood or anything. And I was just like, man, that was a bummer. And I was crushed, you know. So I was just pouting, and I was thinking about it in the blind, and like, it's been a long, long time since I missed or wounded an animal, you know. So I took it pretty hard, and you know, on my farm A, like there was all kinds of hens, a couple toms and all kinds of hens. So I figured they'd be kind of tough to get on and, you know, get one down, especially with the crossbow. And I don't know, I just kind of was pouting. I went back to camp and fired up my grill, mixed up a stiff drink, and actually called my wife and told her the story. I'm like, I'm thinking about coming home. Like, I'm so disappointed that I missed it. She's like, "That's you. You're not a quitter. You know, you'll just get back out there, you know, it'll be fine." And so I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have came home anyway, but I was, you know, I just needed some consoling, apparently, you know, big baby like me, you know.
So the first day was a bust, but you got some consolation. You got a good drink in you, some good dinner, good night's sleep.
Day 3, I decided that I got to go back over to Farm A where I heard all the gobbling on the first morning. And I figured I'd set up in that food plot area. There's actually a couple different food plots in there, but set up where I heard all that gobbling, and hopefully my plan was to get a hen to come in, you know. I set out a Jake decoy. I was going to spend some time there, just try and get a hen to come to me and pull the tom in with her. That was kind of what I was thinking.
It's a bold move. Let's see if it pays out for
I got there. Well, I knew from the first day there was all those hens, you know, came running over to him. So I was sure that they were going to be with a bunch of hens and be a little bit tough to pull them away probably. And so that was my game plan. And I set up in that food plot area in the middle of the two known roosting areas. And right away, early on from one of the roosting areas, there was a tom gobbling, and I called to him and he'd answer me right away. So I just shut up. I knew he was really interested. And then I heard 1 or 2 other toms gobbling in the other roosting area. So I was like, man, this is perfect now. I got them, you know, on each side of me. And sure enough, I heard when the one tom to the south of me jumped down and he was gobbling, and I just give him a little bit to keep him interested, just a tiny bit of calling, not much at all. And he worked his way towards me gobbling pretty much the whole time. And he popped out like 80 yards away from me. And there's like this high spot on the field. And he got to that high spot. He stopped. He went into full strut. He gobble. And I just had the Jake decoy set out, because if I put a hen out there, it seems like they hang up. I mean, for me, where I hunt, if I have a hen decoy out there, they just, I don't know, they usually won't commit to it. In fact, I don't think I've ever had it work. But I've never tried like the breeding hen or whatever. Some guys I was talking to said that's worked really good for them. But
at any rate, you think at that point, like, hey, you can see me, and you know, the natural things, I guess, is for the hens to go there. So maybe they're like, okay, my job's done. You got to come to me now.
Yeah, right. Especially an older tom, like I think this one was. He knew the rules of the game, and he wasn't willing to break them, you know. So
was he a booner?
Everything was perfect. Was it? Yeah, it's like Birdzilla, you know. Of course, so once I get away, I'm gonna blow this first half of the story. But he, you know, I could tell from the roost he was interested in me, and I just maybe gave him 2 sequences of like 3 yelps the whole time to get him to come to 80 yards of me. And he went to that high spot in the field. He strutted, gobbled, did a little pecking. And the way I set it up with that crossbow, there was like a small little gravel pit, and the food plot kind of necked down. So if he committed to coming that way, I'd have a 25, 30 yard shot at him just from the terrain feature,
Yeah.
you know, and he strutted and gobbled and looked at the Jake decoy, and he took about 3 steps in that direction. Because I figured I'd try a Jake and just he might think that the hen was off in the brush somewhere,
Right.
you know, and he could see the Jake and decide he'd come over there and, you know, kick him around a little bit. That was the thinking behind it. But he started coming my way about 5 or 6 steps, and then just out of the blue, out of nowhere, and I'm thinking he's coming, I'm going to get my shot. He just turns and does a 90 and just planes out like a roadrunner and just takes off through the brush. I could see him like running through all their brush. And it was just like, I had to just kind of chuckle, because it's like, I didn't move, I didn't do anything wrong. It's just like he went to where the high spot he strutted, he gobbled, he showed himself. The hen wouldn't come. He's the older bird. He probably played the game, and he started to commit just a little bit, and all at once he just decided it was wrong, and he just planed out and took off. And I had to just chuckle. I mean, it was a beautiful morning, you know, crisp sun was peeking out. You know, I was just enjoying it, even though obviously you're a little disappointed that he took off. But I had the Reaper laying outside the pop up, which I always do, and I was thinking, just plotting my next move. You know, I knew if I did the old half moon trick on him with that Reaper, and I could probably strike him back up again. You know, so I was sitting there pondering my next move and when I should make it. Should I dash out right away and get back on him or whatever? And I was sitting there thinking about it, and maybe 5 minutes had passed since he went burning out of there. And over my right shoulder, I just heard this just enormous gobble. Like it straightened me right up in my chair. It was so cool. You know? So I was sitting there thinking about bird A that just roadrunnered out of there, and bird B just started gobbling out of nowhere, you know. And I look over my right shoulder onto that food plot, and there's 2 turkeys standing there. I'm like, what the heck, you know?
Yeah.
I don't see a red head or a beard, you know. There were 2 hens just pecking around out there. It's like, okay, all right, here we go. And he gobbled again, and he was coming down a road. He just hadn't made his way onto the food plot yet. And then sure enough, he pops out, and he's like 65 yards away and like full strut. And so he just came in, and he was just gobbling like crazy at the hens. I didn't hear the hens talking or anything, but I was trying to record them anyway. I had an FTS on, and I had a 5.0 facing out, and I had a 5.0 facing back, and I was just running them all with my remote. So I was trying to
Tacticam.
Yeah, of course, Tacticam gear. And I had a little bit cheaper of a blind at that spot, so it had smaller windows. So I was trying to keep that up so I could get it on film. And then I knew I wanted him like 30 yards away, you know, what the heck. And I was pretty sure that at some point those hens were going to see that Jake decoy and work their way towards them, which ended up happening. And I had my crossbow trying to film everything in my right hand. I had my rangefinder in my left hand. And the last time I got a good reading on him, he was like 40 yards away, and he's coming closer and closer, and I'm trying to get a reading on him, and it just won't give me the distance. I'm clicking. You can even hear it in the video, trying to get the reading. And it must have been the laser must have been hitting the bottom of the window, you know, not being able to see through the window. And by that time, I'm like, man, he's got to be at range. And I put the rangefinder down, and I look, and those hens are like 10 yards away, and he's following them, and he comes into full strut, straight on. I click the safety off. I go to pull the trigger. He's like maybe 15 yards, and it won't go off. I'm like, what the heck? So by that moving and stuff, I mean, I'm sure I flinched a little bit, even though it's just a crossbow. It's just kind of natural instinct or whatever. So I put the crossbow back on fire. The hens got nervous. He broke out a full strut. He turned, and he started to just kind of walk away, looking back at my direction. And I tried to make it the best shot I could. I was trying to shoot him, like, you know, through the back, and I hit him, and of course I had to watch him fly away. I was like, oh my, what the heck, you know? He flew like 30 yards and then kind of coasted down and went underneath some balsam trees, and I went running over there looking for him and doing some circles, and I couldn't find him, and all this stuff's going through my head like I'm the worst hunter. I'm never hunting with a crossbow again, or I have so much practice to do with his crossbow and all that. And I was just kind of grid searching and wondering in my head if it's legal to have a dog, help find him. Cause I know he hurt really bad. Cause when he flew, like one leg was tucked and one leg was hanging down,
Yeah.
I knew I hit him good, but it's like finding a needle in a haystack. Now I knew he was hiding from me.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
all that stuff was going through my head. And then all of a sudden I heard like rustling around and I found him, almost expired under a balsam tree. And I was just like,
oh, good.
Thank you. It was such a relief, to find him after all that. I had kind of grazed that one the day before and had the perfect shot. And I couldn't get a good range on him because the beam was hitting the window, and then he comes into full strut straight at me like 15 yards. My crossbow won't go off, and I alert the other turkeys monkeying around, and still was able to get him. It was just a great morning.
That's cool.
It was a great hunt. Yeah.
So what was going on with the crossbow?
I'm not sure. Never did that before. Maybe I just didn't click it like 100% off safe, or I'm not sure. It never did it before that. Never did it after that. Things were pretty chaotic in that moment, trying to film them and trying to get that reading, and I was holding that crossbow in my right hand, and I just clicked it with my thumb as I was putting my rangefinder, letting it sag off my neck,
Yeah.
because it had I don't know, but I wish that I would have been able to get him at the full strut straight on at 15 yards, because it would have been a lot better video than the turkey flying away. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny when you end up getting them, but not funny. It's not funny because I wanted to just one clean shot dust them,
Oh yeah, but just the way it all played out. It's good you found him too, because I mean, if he would have just, well, when you said his leg was hanging down, it's kind of what I was thinking. Like if he went down, he probably didn't get back up, and he probably couldn't run because the one leg was probably toast.
Right, it was.
No, that's good. I'd be afraid shooting him straight on, but I'd shoot the beard off of him.
Right.
You kind of hairs laying around.
Right. No, I was definitely like, really trying to. I knew it was going to be a challenge, put it that way, and but I felt okay with that because I had the 6 weeks to do it, and but at the same respect, I don't want to go wounding birds and blowing feathers off of them. And
oh yeah, that's crazy. Well, yeah, good thing you got him. How big was he?
He was probably a 2-year-old, nothing, giant, beautiful bird, like a 9-inch beard probably, and just, not quite an inch spur. So he was a nice tom.
That's awesome.
But
did you eat him yet?
It wasn't. Oh yeah. He's awesome.
No,
I made some nuggets.
I was gonna say, how'd you cook it up? Nuggets?
Yeah, for sure. Those are the best.
So on my birds, I kind of mentioned it the last time. I always keep the breast off. I wanted to do the whole whole bird sometime. I don't have a way to keep it from freezer burning or whatever. So I end up I always want to do it, and then I always end up just taking the breast off. Like I said, the legs, thighs, the wings, and then like the back meat if I can get to it, depending on the situation. But we just made turkey nuggets the other night with one of the breasts, and it was awesome. And I really want to get into smoking them this year. You ever done that?
No, I never have.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try the drumsticks and the thighs I'm going to try smoking some of those first. My parents are coming up here in a week, so I'll try experimenting with those guys. Maybe if they listen to this, I might try to serve them indiscreetly that deer nut. We'll see.
Yeah. You got to check in with the Flounder Pounder. I'm almost certain that I saw one of his videos where he smoked turkey legs, and he loved it.
Yeah, I forgot. He's like a turkey burger machine too, isn't he?
He's if there's one guy on this planet that knows how to make awesome meat out of wild game in a variety of different ways, it's the Flounder Pounder, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think the key to that hunt was just like I was trying to do, just put myself where a turkey wanted to be, where I heard all that gobbling and stuff the first morning of the hunt. And yeah, it worked out pretty good. Obviously, I would have liked to got the other tom, the big one, but it was just a cool sight just seeing him, and super funny, especially after I got one, that seeing him playing out in Roadrunner through the brush. It just makes you. Those turkeys just make me think sometimes, like, what in the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, what did I do? But I think it's usually not what you do wrong. It's just nature, and I think the seasoned ones, they just stick to the rules,
Yeah, for sure. No, it's kind of like big bucks and stuff too. I mean, they, like you said, they get a routine down and they know they didn't die last year. So why change something that works?
Right.
But no, I think another key in that story you were telling is, off the first day or first or second day, you were saying where, based off the rule that the birds are going to have a high percentage chance at coming to where they've heard calling before once kind of that morning action dies down. And I've actually had that same situation happen. Before I knew that, I knew birds sometimes came in silent was kind of my mentality when it happened to me. But I was working a ridge, hearing these birds gobble. They were actually on the neighboring property when I first saw them. They were probably 60, 70 yards away, and I could see their fans over the brush strutting across the barbed wire fence on this other side of this property. So I sat down where I was and started calling to them, and they gobbled, and I waited a couple minutes, chirp at them again, and they gobble again. And then at like the third or fourth time, one of those times they stopped gobbling. But they were saying whether they would kind of work away from me or come towards me. They kept the 2 or 3 times they did gobble. One would sound far away and one would sound kind of close. But I knew from where I last saw them that they were close together. Well, I just sat there for a while and I kept calling nothing. And eventually I just gave up. But I'm like, man, I almost don't even want to move because I can't see them. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they ran away. And like 20 or 30 minutes goes by. And finally I'm like, I hadn't heard anything. So I let out like one more call, nothing. And I'm like, okay. So I'm probably safe to get up. The birds are probably gone. I'll go ahead and head home. And I stand up to see one bird at like 20 yards. I could see it. He was strutting, facing away from me. And then there was another one that was like, he couldn't have been 5 yards in front of me. I never heard him come in, but I just saw him just, like you said, roadrunning right through the brush as soon as I stood up. And that other one, and they both roadrunnered through, and I was more responsible shooter then. I didn't even try shooting at them, but they both got away, but that's exactly what they were doing. They're like, we'll go check them out. Because I had quit calling, for about, like I said, 20, 30 minutes. And during that time is probably when they decided, hey, let's go check this out. She quit.
Right. Yeah, that morning on the bird that I gave the old shave job to, I mean, that was such a cool hunt because of the new information that I got. And I knew I was committed to staying in that one spot for 4 hours. The other thing that helped me stay there was where he was at running around. I remember I'd say get like maybe 100 yards away and gobble, maybe like 200 or 300 yards away and gobble. It's hard not to go after him, but that area had been logged off and there's brush and like piles of stuff everywhere and it's super thick and no big trees. So I literally like couldn't go in there. So that helped me remain patient too, because it's hard not to go after a tom when he's just right there gobbling at you. But I was dedicated to waiting the 4 hours, and then I was handcuffed by the game features.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and the toughest part about a turkey, it's not like, every game animal's at least semi-camouflage. They're made to blend in where they're at. But the thing with a turkey is most of the time, I feel like you could probably see their head most of the time before you get busted. You can't. It's such a small thing you're looking for when you're looking for like this big blob of black. If the only thing that's showing is their head, they're going to bust you 9 times out of 10 in those situations where you do move at them because their eyesight's just so good. And ours is good too, but it's so hard to find something the size of a tree branch,
right.
Unless it's bright red, or something.
Right. And they seem to be kind of masters of using the lay of the land to their advantage. Like, you'll come across you think you're seeing the whole field, and then you'll drive a little bit farther down the road, and then you'll notice this valley that runs through the field, and there the turkeys are, where they're just kind of hidden from your first point of view,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, good thing you got them, and got to eat some turkey nuggies out of them.
Yeah, it was quite a relief finding them. It was a good morning, but I'll never in my life forget the one that roadrunnered off through the brush. I was just chuckling, thinking like, you got to tip your cap to any wild animal sometime that out buffaloes you or whatever. And yeah, like I said, I was just sitting there thinking, you know what, I'm gonna go after him. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
work my way around him, and I'm gonna throw him a curveball, and then all of a sudden, just the loudest gobble you ever heard in your life like, came from the other side. But that's what's cool about turkey hunting, the highs and lows, and it's probably true for the most part of most hunting seasons, no matter what you're hunting. But if you just do your best to keep your chin up no matter what happens, it only takes 1 second to turn the worst season of your life into the best one. And my late great uncle told me that a long time ago when I was like 13, and it played true that year. I was down in the dumps, and I think I saw a small buck I didn't get a shot at, and I was pouting. He was like, dude, it only takes 1 second to change the worst season you ever had to the best. And I think of that all the time out hunting.
That's a great quote for sure.
Yeah.
He wasn't by chance named Abraham Lincoln, was he?
No. He was Donald Arthur Landry, so he could grow one heck of a mustache too.
Oh, yeah. Back in his day, though, he wasn't worried about women cutting it off.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, with the punches on something like that. But yeah, back to the mustache, man. Obviously, I was furious.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't even talk.
Yeah. There's no words that can say what you were feeling, I'm sure, in that moment.
Right. I think when I told you the story the first time, like, you were just enraged yourself.
I mean, it immediately made me feel like I was sitting in the chair and it happened to me. I was just like, are you kidding?
Yeah. Yeah.
How I couldn't even imagine.
I thought that you would maybe think it was kind of funny, but then I realized after the conversation, like, you actually know what it takes to grow a mustache like that and maintain that. And you know that it's not just a mustache, but it's a lifestyle, right, bud?
Oh, 100%, but it's a lifestyle, just like Miller High Life. It's
right.
Or what was it in college? It was Ice House. That's what it was. My buddy turned 21, and I went and grabbed him a case of the crappiest beer I could find at the local gas station to meet him at the apartment with, and it was Ice Houses, and we took a couple cans of those and laid them down, and that's what we decided is to be able to drink that stuff. It's purely a lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of the guys where I'm from, and where I do my turkey hunting, they love Schmitz. 30 packs of Schmitz. It's not bad if that's what you drink and that's what you're used to, but it's quite a surprise when you're not used to one. But I crushed a couple with my uncle. They're actually pretty good.
Huh. No, I've never had them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, run on down and get yourself some, bud.
oh yeah. I don't know if they sell it out here. Rainer's the big thing out here.
Oh, okay. Well, if they don't, they should.
Oh, they should. We'll get it. No, that's cool, man.
It's always the cool thing about Schmitz is it's a red can with like I'm pretty sure it's gold lettering, and it'll switch from like bear when it's bear season, deer when it's deer season, like a trout when it's fishing season, maybe a pheasant on there, so you get nice wildlife.
one recipe for all the seasons.
It's marketed to the outdoorsman, but your loggers, your fishermen, your hunters.
Milwaukee Light, no one likes that.
Right.
Bush Light with the bright orange cases.
Yeah, right. And deer season.
Heck yeah. Well, cool, man. Good story, dude. We're gonna have to. What we got? 2 more left for our seasons.
Yeah, for sure.
I think so. Let's see if we can't get some guests on and a few Schmitz. Let's see where the stories go.
You got to check though. I'm not saying you have to buy them, but I'm curious if you got them out there. And that's funny that you're you're not in Colorado, but out west. Like one of my uncles was telling me, when he was growing up, like there was like 2 beers or 4 beers or something. It wasn't like 355 in every liquor store, and they had like dreamt of the day that they could have a Coors beer. They just couldn't get it, and finally. His buddy went out there. I don't think it was just to get cases of beer, but he brought a bunch of them back, and he said it was like the greatest thing ever to finally get to taste Coors, the banquet beer.
That's awesome, man. Awesome.
All right, bud. Good talking with you as usual.
Oh yeah. Yep. Stay tuned for the next one, man. We'll get another turkey story on here.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right, buddy. We'll see you.
See ya.
Thanks again, everybody, for listening to the Praying and Slaying podcast. If you like what you hear on Praying and Slaying, be sure to give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform that you listen to us on, and be sure to check us out at www.lightthefireoutdoors.com, where you can find all the episodes as well as other videos and other outdoor faith-based content. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Light the Fire Outdoors. Thanks again for listening. We look forward to getting you on the next one.